All right, welcome to Dealing with the Fear of the Unpredictable, being calm and grounded and present as we're facing these things. And I'm Cathy from intimacydojo.com, and I'm here with my fabulous friend Rick Wilkes from thrivingnow.com. And we are here because of you, because we care about you. So if you can, just let your heart notice that, people care about you. We're here right now, sending you love and wanting to help you feel more grounded and calm and present in the midst of kind of a confusing time for a lot of us. And just knowing that people care can sometimes help our hearts feel less alone and less overwhelmed. That primitive survival mechanism that's kicking in can just go, oh, I'm not alone. So whenever we can start bringing that stress down, that fear response down, we tend to make much better decisions. So
if you were looking for the kind of the short intention for the Cathy and I share, is that there's a deep value in being grounded. I don't mean perfectly grounded. I don't mean perfectly stable, but to have your sense of yourself being in your body and to be able to be present for yourself and your needs. And also, I'd like to invite you for a short time here that we're together to be present with each other. We cover many parts of the country, perhaps parts of the world that are asleep now will be tuning in to listen to the recording. Welcome. It's good to have you with us. We're part of a circle that is right now aware of and sharing a phenomenon, an unwanted, undesired phenomenon that is touching many lives, some very directly, some through our awareness, others through friends of friends. And what do we do in that? And a core value that I started tapping my work consciously with emotional freedom techniques and my work as an emotional freedom coach because I wanted emotional self-management. I wanted at times like these to not be washed away or blown away or pulled out of who I am. And I can be scared, and we're going to do some tapping here in just a minute to help that, but I want us to see if we can feel the congruence that as a community, that if we are even a bit more grounded and present, if our trend is, okay, I'm getting scared, I'm getting concerned, I'm going to ground and make myself more present, I'm going to give myself the pause, that's a good thing. It's good for our immune system. We know that. It's good for our energy system, our emotional world. It's good for those that are connected to us to be aware and also present.
well, and also role models something very different. I was on the phone with my mother the other day, a couple days ago, checking in, and she's mostly grounded, but she gets in this spiral, like almost a hamster on a cage, in a wheel, and she starts worrying, and because she's worried, and her body responds to that worry, her brain thinks there's something more to get worried about, and just kind of spirals up. And just being near her, like, I'm really glad I have strong muscles for staying grounded. But I imagine that the people living with her all the time find that very stressful. And even in the 10 minutes we talked, I noticed I got off and I felt much more tired. And I don't think we make really good decisions from that place. I don't think we are helping those around us feel calm and grounded. I don't think we're helping ourselves take care of ourselves while in that space. I think that pure panic, maybe if you're absolutely trapped in something, that part of our brain that just goes into pure panic and throws ourselves against walls, that can be useful if there's nothing else to do and you're actually dying. Maybe you break through the wall. But if you would just for right this moment, feel your feet on the ground Feel your butt on whatever it's sitting on. Feel that you're supported. And if you can, let yourself take a nice, slow, deep breath. And when you exhale, if you make a little noise, our friend Reed says, if you can vibrate your hand on your chest a little bit, that's vibrating your vagus nerve, which feeds directly into, it's actually part of the primitive brain. And it's a biofeedback. It's such a simple biofeedback thing, because if a lion was about to eat you, you would not go, literally, you would not make any noise, or you might be screaming, but you wouldn't be like that low kind of vibrating noise. So it tells your primitive brain there's no lions about to eat you. And if you would, just look around the room and notice, if you would, I think that there's a lot of people in a high state of alert, feeling like there's a lot going wrong. And I haven't heard of anyone losing electricity or water or heat or AC because of this. I haven't heard of anyone's house being blown away by the coronavirus. So if you would, just kind of let that survival part of your brain that's hearing news from all over the world about potential danger, let it notice that, wow, there's food in the kitchen, my phone's there, the car keys are right there, my wallet, I have this computer that it lets me connect.
Mouse.
Like,
Mouse for the cat.
yes. Rick's in Asheville, North Carolina. I'm in San Jose, California. We're connecting, and there's people all from all over the world here together. And if we can, just letting our brains see that in this moment right now, we're actually okay. It's almost a meditation. It's almost like a living meditation. In this moment, I'm actually okay. Okay, I feel a little afraid. In this moment, I'm actually okay. It builds up the resilience muscles a lot better. Like, they get strong really fast when we can do that, the more we can do it. And there's moments when, like when I went to the grocery store and there was nothing in the shelves in California, people have really bought out a lot of the things. Like, there's no onions. You can't buy pasta or rice anywhere. There was a little part of my brain's like, oh, there's not enough. And I'm like, I have enough in my cupboard. I'm not gonna, perish. And there's certainly some kinds of foods there. It's just the staples that have gone away. So, but it's like the sooner you can step back into that quiet, connected place, the more that you're not stressing your body, which is really good for your immune system. You're also helping other people step out of that. The more alert we are, all of us, the more everyone's anxiety goes up.
You said something, and I'd like to just pause and reflect on it. You were describing your mother.
Yeah.
And when she's worried, she starts worrying. She starts getting sensations in her body. And because those are the sensations of something to worry about, it starts this feedback loop. So whether it's worried or scared, I want us to acknowledge that we're human. Our feelings in our body evoke thoughts. Our thoughts evoke feelings. And taking the pause, I'd love it if you would lead us in a quick tapping now.
I would love to.
Around. So checking in, let me set the stage for it if I can. Checking in with your body, the unpredictable, the fear. What are you feeling chin down? There's no right or wrong answer. It could be nothing. That's a clue. Maybe
Well,
you've
and
checked
numb
out
is a
of it.
little different than nothing too. I think there's shades of that. And try to keep it really simple if you can, because I'm very good one. Well, I have this constricted anxiety feeling in my heart, and I'll get really in my head about it, versus, wow, I have a tightness in my chest and my heart is beating a little fast. See if you can keep it very basic, because that will help you be real with what's actually there. Yeah. And just give yourself a moment to be there. So many of us were taught that fear was overwhelming, that we should be ashamed of it. We were never given ways to deal with it. So often when those sensations come up, we push them away. I've been doing a lot of work with Getting Real book that Rick and I have been talking a lot, and Radical Honesty. And part of that is just feeling the feelings that are actually there. And when I kind of complained to the guy I'm doing work with, him like, oh, this is terrible. I feel so afraid. He's like, what is the sensation? I'm like, my chest is so tight. He's like, okay, your chest is tight. Can you deal with that? And I'm like, I don't want to, but okay. And it's like my chest feels tight. My brain thinks there's something wrong, but it's just a tight feeling. Oh, it's just a sensation. And I think when we start taking the meaning out of it, the shame and the fear, and I don't know how to deal with it, and just feel, oh, whatever your sensation is, just being with it, it becomes much more basic. Take a nice slow deep breath. And just feel whatever the sensations are in your body, just really simple, basic ones, no colorful language needed. Karate chop, even though I'm feeling this right there.
Even though I'm feeling this right there.
And I feel kind of scared.
And I feel kind of scared.
I am actually okay in this moment.
I'm actually okay in this moment.
I'm just having strong sensations.
I'm just having strong sensations.
Even though I've been taught to avoid these sensations.
Even though I've been taught to avoid these sensations.
Or run away as fast as I can.
Or run away as fast as I can.
Or maybe eat or blame someone else or drink something or shop.
All of that is in my family tree.
Yes. In just this moment, I can feel those sensations.
In just this moment, I can feel those sensations.
And if you're feeling anxious, like fast, tap slower. You can tap like almost like a gentle pressure. So sometimes when we're really anxious, faster tapping can make us feel more anxious. So you can either press and hold, or you can just gently, slowly tap. We're still activating those meridians, but we're just also sending a signal down to slow down our body. Our adrenaline starts going when we're fearful because we want to get away from whatever is scaring us. In this case, there's really no place, like if you're in your home, you're not faced by a tiger. Our brain does not, the survival part of our brain doesn't know the difference between a tiger and the coronavirus that's out there somewhere. So let's just take another nice deep breath. Even though I'm feeling kind of fearful.
Even though I'm feeling kind of fearful.
And I can tell because I have this sensation in my body.
And I can tell because I have this sensation in my body.
I send love to my heart.
I send love to my heart.
And every part of my body that I'm feeling these sensations.
And every part of my body that I'm feeling these sensations.
Top of the head. Hey, sensations.
Ooh, hey, sensations.
Eyebrow, I kind of resent you.
I kind of resent you.
Side of the eye, you do not feel good.
You do not feel good.
Under the eye, I want you to go away.
I want you to go away.
Under the nose, I blame you.
I blame you.
Chin, I make bad decisions sometimes when I'm feeling you.
I'm prone to making ungrounded decisions when I'm feeling you.
Collarbone, but the truth is no one ever taught me to feel grounded when I feel you.
No one taught me how to reground myself when I feel this way.
And then what if you're just a good warning signal?
It does feel like a warning signal.
Top of that, I can pay attention to the warning signal.
And I am paying attention to the warning signal.
Eyebrow, and there's certain things I can do.
And there are certain things I can do.
Side of the eye, I don't have to turn off the warning signal.
I don't have to turn off the warning signal.
Under the eye, I can hear it.
I can hear it.
And then take appropriate action.
And then take appropriate action.
Chin, it's okay to feel the sensation.
It's okay to feel the sensation.
Collarbone, thank you for warning me.
Thank you for warning me.
Under the arm, thank you for caring about my well-being.
Thank you for caring about my well-being.
Top of the head, I imagine you're working very hard to keep me safe.
I imagine you're working way hard to keep me safe.
And I really appreciate it.
And I really do appreciate it.
And I just sometimes, especially when I'm wanting to ground, I just put my hand on the top of my head and take a nice slow deep breath.
I sometimes do that and my heart as
Oh, yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Sometimes the back of the head,
Yeah.
like we're like giving the primitive brain just a little gentle squeeze.
Yeah. Heart math often
Presence.
connects the heart and the back of the head, the base of
Hmm.
the head as well. So just
Yeah.
notice the sensation. I'm sorry, Rick, I didn't mean to step on you.
I want to leave open that there's a chat. If you're on a phone or a pad, it's probably under the dot, dot, dot. If you're on a computer, also dot, 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 or there might be a chat button. If there's something that's rising for you or some feedback you'd like to give us, please feel free. Um, we're probably going to be inviting some people to come up and share. We'll talk about that more in a minute. We're
Yeah.
we're exploring some of the landscape that we know about this right now.
Yeah. One of the things that I think is really important to remember, and it comforts me, when we're faced with challenges, if I'm not sick, I swallowed my water wrong. I feel like I should have to test it. Like, I'm okay. Um, Often when we're faced with things that make us anxious, there's a thought in our system, in our body, that we can't handle it. So people often say, what if anxiety is mislabeled excitement? When we're faced with challenges we know we can handle, it often feels like excitement. When we're faced with challenges that we haven't defined or that we feel like we can't cope with, that's when we feel a
Out
lot of,
of our, yeah, it's not as much under our direct control. It looks like on the.
yeah. And so a lot of this is not necessarily in our control right now. There's things that are happening at the government level or internationally that we don't have control over. So it can feel scary.
Mm-hmm.
So
If someone is willing to share like what they're noticing in their body and what the emotion they feel with it, that would be helpful for me
mhm.
in the
If
chat
you're
window.
feeling
It's
a
not
little bit,
necessary,
yeah. But I
but
think
it's
if you're feeling a little
invited.
frozen, sharing, opening up that way in a safe space, it helps your brain feel a little more connected and a little less stuck in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the people had written in saying they were afraid of the lack of supplies or lack of different things and feeling really overwhelmed because of that. And different places have different levels of that. Here in California, there's a lot of empty shelves, and last week we had people having mini riots over lack of bottled water. Um, from everything I've heard, the coronavirus does not turn off the water tap, so we were a little surprised. But I think that we tend to think of, especially since the news is making, we're trying to be aware, most of us. We're hearing a lot about it, and that our brain doesn't understand the difference between everything happening right next to us or things across the world. Our survival brain is just like, my entire
Uh,
tribe. Yeah, I'm hearing so much of this. My entire tribe must be affected by this. And I find comfort in normalizing things. So the fact that there aren't supplies out there right now for some things, like toilet paper was one of the first things to go in California. Again, this particular cold does not give diarrhea, so we're not really sure why toilet paper was what they ran on. But people see that people are grabbing it and fighting over it, so they get it too, and now there's none, you can't buy it. We're going to go to leaves pretty soon. Um, but one thing I was like, oh, this is so hard. This is so scary. I've never experienced this before. And I was like, I lived in Florida for a long time. And every time big hurricane was going to come through, this is exactly what happened. Maybe I have experienced this in a different context. Or like there's, some foods are not available in the grocery store. And I'm like, well, I've had that happen at Christmas and Thanksgiving. And it worked out. It was okay. So so if you notice things are giving you a little bit of, or a little or a lot of fear, see if you can notice, oh, I have experienced this before. I've had this concern before, or I noticed this and I was okay, because it gives your brain, otherwise it's all these new things are coming at us, all these things, and if we don't put them in context, it seems like such a drastic change from our normal everyday lives. And it can feel really scary. It can seem as evidence. The fact that the shelves are empty and the government's shutting things down can seem as evidence that something's really, really wrong.
Pause there and tap on that.
Do you want to read that?
Part of me is really viewing this as evidence that something is really, really wrong.
Part of me is really viewing this as evidence that something is really, really wrong.
I'm confirming my fears.
I'm confirming my fears.
How can I stay balanced here?
How can I possibly stay balanced here?
There's so much confirmation of fear.
There is so much confirmation of fear.
Jen, and that's not great for my immune system.
It's not great for my immune system.
I want to be aware and ridiculously grounded and confident.
I want to be aware and ridiculously confident and grounded.
And I have lived through things before.
And I have lived through things before.
Yeah. And a lot of people are focused on the worst case scenario.
A lot of people are focused on the worst case scenario.
Eyebrow. Those people almost always are focused on the worst case scenario.
Those people are most always focused on the worst case scenario.
I know some of those people.
I do know some of those people.
Yeah. And it's okay for me to sense their exaggeration.
It's okay for me to sense their exaggeration.
It's okay for me to sense that that's how they prepare themselves.
It's okay for me to sense that's how they prepare themselves.
Some people prepare themselves by panicking.
Some people prepare themselves by panicking.
Some people prepare themselves by declaring it's the end of the world.
Some people prepare themselves by declaring it's the end of the world.
Which seems to happen a lot in their lives.
Which happens a lot in their lives.
How do I want to prepare and be present?
How do I want to prepare and be present?
Clearly, I'm willing to do some emotional work.
Clearly, I'm willing to do some emotional work.
That says something different about me.
It does say something different about me.
It's okay for me to be different from the herd here.
It is okay for me to be different from the herd here. That was beautiful. Thank you.
So I like to remind myself it's okay for me to be different from the herd, to have a different vantage point. If you've ever watched one of those nature documentaries, you see the caribou, the million caribou. And if you're in a drone, even 100 feet above the herd, you see patterns and movement that if you're in the herd, especially with all the dust up your nose, it's hard to see that. And so I can be aware of the herd's movements and jitteriness. I may even react to it. I may be triggered by something particular. And my reminder is, it's okay to be ridiculously grounded in my awareness and present with what's right here, right now. And that's where the subject of the unpredictable, right here, right now, in the very, you can't necessarily predict whether Zoom's going to continue working for us for the next 34 minutes.
It's likely.
But it's likely. And if it doesn't, what would you do? we were suddenly cut off,
We could
what would
you
you
could
do?
tap, you could tap, continue tapping. You could look for the replay a little later. You could have a snack. You could pet your cat. There's not. It's not the end. It's not evidence that something terrible happened. It just means maybe a lot of people are on Zoom right now because a lot of people are working from home out here, at least in the Bay Area.
And I'm inviting us to um, like grounded preparedness to me says that I'm I can be grounded first in that which is near. Okay. So like today and tomorrow. If if you're not grounded in present with today, don't jump to next don't jump to a week from now.
Yeah.
Do the emotional work to be grounded and present with what's here right now in your body and your world.
Yeah, I liked what John Oliver said. If any of you have seen it, I thought it made a lot of sense to me. He said there's people that are panicking, and there was something going around on Facebook. So please don't do this. This is very, very, very bad to do. But he said people were gargling bleach because they'd read that it could help kill the virus. It doesn't kill the virus that way. It kills you. It's bad. Don't do it. But he said there's people on this one side that are like panicking and gargling bleach, and there's the other side, there's some people that are la-di-da, nothing's happening, I don't have to do anything. And we think everyone should choose where they want to go, but I liked what he said. He's like, let's try to be somewhere in the middle. We don't want to go so far we're gargling bleach and killing ourselves, and it probably will take care of the flu. You don't have the flu anymore because you're dead. And the other side is just totally ignoring anything. But in that, there's quite a range that we can choose. Like, how much news are we going to watch? I have friends at work that are like watching, like every 5 minutes they announce the numbers of people. And I'm like, okay, it's useful for 5 minutes. And now I really wish you'd shut up. And I get that that's how you feel like you're protecting yourself. But it's actually not, does it serve this space? There are people that bought up, they have a room of toilet paper right now or whatever. They have so much. And I was at Home Depot on the way home getting some vegetables for my garden, and I saw toilet paper and bottled water. They had a little bit out with sign you can only get a little bit. And I didn't get it because I got enough that I have enough for, they said we might be required to be in your home for 2 weeks for quarantine. I have enough probably for a month. It's me and my cat. I got her extra cat food. She does not have to worry. So I took logical, thoughtful precautions, but I'm not trying to, like, if I let my survival brain go, I would have been fighting people for the last of the toilet paper and that one case of bottled water, and like hurrying home so that someone couldn't get it. And I don't know that, I think there's the middle ground where we can, okay, did I do what seems reasonably practical from this stage for what we know now? Um, and just, I think that is a wise place to be often. So, and then maybe next week I'll be like, damn, I should have bought that toilet paper, but I feel confident in the decision I made right now. So,
Getting some private messages, which are always welcome. Thank you. Okay.
so,
So I've
so,
got someone that would like to work on
hmm,
an aspect around the isolation.
yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Paulavina. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
It's good to see you. Do you want to share with the circle what you're feeling and what's coming up for you around this?
Yeah, well, I'm a student, I'm a full-time student, and our university went online, fully online. So all my social contact is now cut off. I'm not going to be seeing people. And I just feel completely isolated and alone, and I feel like I'm going crazy. And this has always been my worst fear. So yeah, it's really bad.
Where do you feel that right now in your body? This worst fear?
It's from my stomach going all the way up into my head. So from my stomach up.
0 to 10?
Yeah.
Is it all the way maxed out? 10?
Yeah.
Even, would you like to tap with me?
Yes.
Even though this is my worst fear.
Even though this is my worst fear.
My worst fear has always been, what? How would you say it?
Ending up alone.
Ending up alone. And this feels like it's happened.
Yeah.
The social distancing is not good for me.
The social distancing is not good for me.
Stop it. It's making my body feel what?
I just feel like I'm going crazy.
Part of me feels like I'm going crazy.
Part of me feels like I'm going crazy.
Side of the eye. My primitive brain feels like I've been, would you say, abandoned or cast out or isolated? What feels true to you?
Isolated.
Yeah. Like does it feel like you've been forced or you've had to or you found yourself? What does it feel like? Isolated. Something that's been done to you or something that is.
I just feel like there's something wrong with me, that I'm just living, like I'm living half a life. I'm not living a full life like other people.
Thank you. This feels like half a life.
This feels like half a life.
Feels like, Chin, feels like there's something wrong with me.
It feels like there's something wrong with me.
It feels like there's something wrong with me.
It feels like there's something wrong with me.
What if there's nothing wrong with me?
What if there's nothing wrong with me?
Stop it. It feels like there's something wrong with me.
It feels like there's something wrong with me.
Take a deep breath. And no right or wrong answer. Do you notice anything happening in your body now?
My body feels a little more relaxed.
How disconnected, I mean, how isolated do you feel right now with us here with you?
Maybe a 9 or an 8.
Okay. What would need to happen for that to be like a 5? What would need to change?
If I had a friend come over, or I went out to meet a friend, something like that.
Is it the presence with a friend or touch with a friend? What is it that grounds you, makes you feel connected when you're with someone?
Be able to have a conversation.
Face to face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really want a friend.
I really want a friend
to come over and talk to me.
to come over and talk to me.
Side of the eye. This isn't good for me.
This isn't good for me.
Yeah, it feels way too isolated.
It feels way too isolated.
Under those, this isn't optimal for me.
This isn't optimal for me.
Chin, this is my worst fear.
This is my worst fear.
And a part of me thinks there must be something wrong with me.
And a part of me thinks there must be something wrong with me.
Humans don't choose isolation.
Humans don't choose isolation.
In prison, it's the worst possible punishment.
It's the worst possible punishment.
And it feels really intense to me right now.
And it feels really intense to me right now.
What if it's not because there's something wrong with me?
What if it's not because there's something wrong with me?
Is that landing at all as you say that? What if it's not? Is there a big reaction that you get?
Well, I feel that if there's not something wrong with me, then like, what is it? what did I do? How can I fix this? It's just kind of going around in my brain, like, how can I fix this? What can I do? I feel helpless.
Eyebrow. I feel helpless.
I feel helpless.
I feel helpless.
I feel helpless.
Under the eye. Part of me is trying to fix it.
Part of me is trying to fix it.
Under the nose. Part of me is trying to fix it.
Part of me is trying to fix it.
Chin. I appreciate that part of me.
I appreciate that part of me.
Collarbone. And there's no obvious fix.
And there's no obvious fix.
How does that feel?
I feel like I'd have to do it a bit more to
Yeah.
bring it down. Yeah.
Especially if it's something that's our worst fear.
Yeah.
I do mean that, and I included in it, like, the reaction that you're having is a really primal reaction. Humans don't isolate by, people who don't want to isolate don't isolate. We don't feel comfortable with it.
I think of it as some of us need more certain nutrition. Like I need more magnesium than a lot of people need, or some people need more vitamin C.
That's a good way of putting it.
Social connection. It sounds like your body needs a lot of social connection as a nutrient to feel really good, whereas someone who's very introverted might feel tired if they get too much social connection. And there's nothing right or wrong. But if you can tell your body, hey, body, I know that you need this, and I'm really glad that you're telling me about it. We have to take maybe a 2-week break. We're not going to get quite as much of the nutrient we really need, and we're still going to get it later, and we're going to be okay, and I'll get as much as I can in this time frame. And maybe testing different ways, like you said, being together on Skype or maybe FaceTime or whatever. Like maybe that gives you a little bit of that nutrient, or meeting someone one-on-one. At least around here, I don't know where you are, what they're saying, but we're allowed to gather together for small, like one or two people, 3 people can get together. No one's saying we shouldn't. They're saying if you feel ill, don't get together. But we're allowed to meet each other and have coffee or food or talk or whatever. So figuring out how you can get yourself as much of that nutrient that feels safe, and also reminding yourself that while it feels really bad and part of you may feel like you're going to die without it, most people, are not going to, their body won't be operating optimally. Like if I don't get enough magnesium, I actually get muscle cramps. So like it may not feel good, but I'm not actually going to die. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just been kind of a long-term thing, and it's been building and building and building. It's just a long story, but
yeah. And in other calls, I know that you've signed up. We take little bits of this, and if there's an opportunity here, forced opportunity, cough, no pun intended, it's that this is going to bring up stuff for all of us. And it's an opportunity for us to be with what's alive for you.
Thank you.
I want to be with these feelings that you're having. I certainly have a hope that in the energy space, and in times of where I haven't felt connected to people, I've been forced to start feeling beyond just my skin and the face to face, to start cultivating a connection that extends out, that with the people whose heart is dear to me. And I think that doesn't work for everybody. It didn't work for me for a long time. When I was isolated, it felt like I had no friends. And I appreciate so much that you're here. And I appreciate so much your invitation for us to all feel a bit of that isolation and cabin fever, to recognize it within ourselves, and that's going to be a factor for so many people. So maybe together we can find ways that to calm and nourish ourselves, as Cathy said.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and mute your microphone so you can listen and tap along.
Rick, I don't know if you have some other private messages. I can't see those, but I was looking at the
I'm
chat.
good.
Okay. I'm wondering if you feel like it'd be useful I'd love to leave a guided meditation about kind of people feel raw or they've been absorbing all the anxiety. And I know that for me, it almost feels like electrical tingles, like when there's so much anxiety from other people, it feels kind of overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to, you don't have to do this, but if you're in a safe place and want to close your eyes, take a nice slow deep breath. Just let yourself drop into your body for a moment. Let your body contain you. I think when we get anxious, we kind of float up to the top of our body, and just imagine you can kind of sink in, almost like a ghost sinking into your body. Feel your feet on the floor. Just notice the temperature around them and the texture of whatever they're touching. Take another nice slow deep breath. And just notice for a moment, you don't have to tune into a lot of it, but maybe 1 to 10% of the anxiety or tingle or whatever it is that you're getting from outside.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick and I tend to attract a lot of people that are pretty empathetic or energetically sensitive. So just tune into what feels good, just so you have a little bit of a flavor of it. And notice that a lot of people don't have the skills and the practices that you're doing right now. They don't know how to do this. So all that anxiety is swimming around and it's resonating with your body a little bit. And now just imagine that your body is very connected to the earth. Let your feet really connect to the ground. And imagine that you can just open up the top of your head and you can let the universe wash you down with love. And it will wash away a lot of that anxiety. It's going to just gently, with this warm, loving energy, whatever color feels right to you. Mine's very like a honey golden color. Just washing down and rinsing off all of the anxiety you don't need, all of the stuff that's from other people that you don't need it anymore. It just residue. They were sneezing it out like the flu. They just had the kind of anxiety feeling, and you're just going to let it wash down your body and down through that connection your feet have with the earth. And you're going to let the universe draw it down into the center of the earth where it can put it into the magma and let it be recycled into something else. And let's go back up to the top of your head, and we're going to invite the universe to send another flood of gentle, loving, golden light, or whatever color light you feel. You can even have a taste or smell or a texture if you like. And this time as it washes down through, it's going to, almost like the conditioner for your hair, it's going to find all the frazzled ends, those nerve endings that are raw or overwhelmed. It's going to flush some of any residual anxiety away, but it's also going to soothe and coat all those raw, dry, stressed nerve endings with this beautiful, loving, honey-like texture. But it's not sticky. It's just coating those nerve endings and helping them feel loved and soothed. And we're going to just let that wash over your entire body, from top of your head, down over your face, your neck, your shoulders, all down your arms and hands, and dripping off your fingertips, down across your chest and back, lower back, tummy, hips and legs, down over your knees and your calves and your shins and your ankles and your feet. And it's going to kind of flush it all to the center of the earth, where it can use it. It loves that. It's great energy for it. It'll burn it up and use it to make beautiful things. And then just notice those nerve endings that as it washed over, they're now coated with this this gentle healing balm that's going to let those really tired nerve endings relax. It'll insulate them from too much noise And it's not that you're muted, it's not that you can't hear things that you need to, but you don't have to be so sensitive to them. This special balm will allow you to turn the volume of the signals you're getting down a little bit. And you can decide how much you want to have that. Do I really want to hear what's going on, or can I just get enough so that I know when I have to take action? Yeah, let's turn down the volume just a little bit so we can have that quiet, gentle time. And then let's go back up to the top of your head. And this time there's going to be this special, beautiful, white, loving light that's going to flush through. And this time it's going to go through the center of your body. And any place it finds that is tired or fatigued or anxious or worried, it's just going to gently beam on that part of you and coat it as well. And just slide along all the neurons and into each cell, almost like it's melting butter. Like someone put this beautiful mound of beautiful butter on top of your head, organic and grass-fed cows, and it's going to just slowly soak down your body. And imagine that it's soaking into each cell where it feels dry and kind of worn out or hassled, down over your eyes and your forehead, just easing all the tension that's in there. All the noise, all the news, all the worry, and it's just kind of gently melting and spreading down all through your head. It's in your brain, kind of mushing around and finding all the places that need soothing and coating. And then it's going down the back of your neck, down the inside of your brain, down your throat, across your chin and down to your collarbones. And gently going down over your shoulders. And just imagine that it's running down your arms and some of it's dripping off the end of your fingertips. It's getting all those nerves and cells and just giving them exactly what they need. It's going down your chest and your torso and your back and just coating everything that needs love. Filling every cell with this wonderful nutrient and warmth down over your hips and your butt and your tummy and the front of your legs and the back of your legs. And it's soaking into your knees, all the joints there, getting every crevice down across your legs, your shins and your calves and your ankles, and just soaking into all the ligaments and the muscles and the bones. Across your ankles, the top of your feet, and then to the bottom, all the way through your feet, every little toe. And then anything that's excess, any anxiety, anything that got washed away that wasn't needed is going to go right down to the center of the earth so the magma can burn it all up and convert it into whatever the universe needs the most. And I want you to just know that that loving energy is there with you all the time. It can be with you. It doesn't have to go away. And anytime you want to tune into it, you just get to remember my voice saying it's just like butter melting into every cell and nerve. And that will help you reconnect with it. When anybody is stressed around you, you don't have to stay connected with that. Just take a nice gentle breath in, breathing in the love the universe has for you. And breathing out abundance and gratitude to the universe. And then let yourself become more aware of where you're sitting. Whatever the texture is underneath your butt, the texture underneath your feet. Take a gentle, slow, deep breath and open your eyes. And let yourself come back to here and now. You are safe and you are loved. Just let that soak in for a minute, and then, yeah, it is hard to be around people that are anxious all the time. And Rick and I were talking before the call about how a lot of things can seem like evidence that there's something wrong. when it can actually be a sign that things are right. So the fact that governments are shutting down large gatherings or certain kinds of travel, to some people, like my brain when I first heard it was like, oh my God, this must be more dastardly than I thought. But it's actually government acting as government's supposed to. Government is supposed to look out for us, our well-being as a whole, help us coordinate to make sure that the weaker people are getting cared for. And what happens when we're not doing these big gatherings or we're not traveling is we're slowing the spread. At this point, it's pretty much out there, unless it's like SARS where it just disappears overnight. It's probably now part of our ecosystem. And once our bodies are used to it, it's not such a big deal. But if we overload the hospitals and the healthcare people by a lot of us getting exposed by spreading it faster, that makes it so more people will suffer and not everyone will get the care they need. So when the government slow this down, they're actually taking really good care of us. When they isolate us, even when it feels so awful, like what? I can't go to work, I can't hang out with my friends, I can't do the thing. I was supposed to go to Canada in a couple of weeks and I'm not going to go. I won't be able to go. The conference was shut down. It's just saying, hey, I love you guys. I want you to be safe. And we're trying to slow the spread down so that our system can really take care of people if they get really ill. And it's a small percentage of people that get really ill. The news is talking about the people that are very, very ill because that's where the drama is and people want to know about it. But most people that get it, it's like having a cold or a flu. And we want to make sure that people that are having compromised immune systems or elderly get the care. So we don't want to overwhelm the hospitals. So we're just taking care of each other by not going to large gatherings, by not traveling, by doing some social distancing. And everyone gets to decide like what's the best balance for them. I'm not seeing friends. I'm seeing some friends that I trust to be responsible and tell me if they're not feeling well or if they've been around someone else who is sick. And I will do the same for them. But we don't have to, like, I think that if we look at it as, hey, they're taking care of us, as opposed to there's something, this is obviously there's something really wrong, it can help our brains relax and realize that they are looking out for us and our healthcare systems are really doing their best to get everything ready so that they can take care of anyone who needs it. And that we're actually safer than maybe we thought.
And it is a time when, as you describe it, it's a pause. That's how I'm choosing to feel it. And it's one of the things that in the emotional world, when people are dysregulating, taking a pause is the most profoundly important thing for us as humans, individual humans, to do. When things feel overwhelming, we take a pause and we come back, we narrow our focus to right here, right now, being present and grounded. And that pause can, when it's depriving us of something primal, a primal thing. Like, I'm going to use this when people are arguing, if they can both agree, it would be wonderful for us to take a pause. This energy that exists between us is not benefiting our relationship. We take a pause and we're not building up fear and resentment and lack of trust. What precipitated this call was that Cathy, can I tell the story about the cashew?
Yes.
So Cathy's at work. This is how I felt it. And she was eating a cashew and some of it got caught in your throat and she coughed. And all of a sudden, if you imagine a herd of humans sticking their head up and going like, oh. There are people that are having allergies right now in town. they know their body, they know their reaction. But if you're coughing somewhere out in a group of people, you activate fear, and that fear can hang with people for a while. So taking a pause, dealing with the fear of the unpredictable, give yourself the powerful pause, a time to acknowledge your own personal feelings. Oh, I'm in the middle of what I really have been fearful of my entire life. Or I'm aware of how whatever the pause is for you. As we bring ourselves to a close here, if there's something that you would like to have shared into the group, you can put that into the chat. Cathy and I are at support@thrivingnow.com. That comes to both of us. We share that email address, and our box is open if you want to be heard, reflect something, ask a question, and particularly if there's something like, I'm aware I'm not going to dance on Sunday. That's my choice. They're going to have the dance. At least right now, although things change, I'm not going to the dance on Sunday. I'm going to choose something else. So I have this need, like we touched on, for more connection than I am likely to get with my circle. And so I'm thinking of, oh, well, I'm going to do more calls. I'm going to do more of this. If that's appealing to you, I'd like to hear it. I do calls with one person. It's fine for me. But I also am looking for, especially as you think in terms of like, what could we do to support one another through this?
Yeah. And I just like to, we were talking about, Rick, I love how you talk about the pause, and I think it's so important in so many things. Doing that pause, and then also having, like, think about what's reasonable. What would a reasonable person do in this situation? So for me, I said, well, if I'm going to be locked in my house for 2 weeks, what would I like to have on hand if I have a flu or if I don't have the flu? So I got some extra tissues, I got some chicken noodle soup, I got a couple of good books, I got a couple treat foods, I got some reasonable things. And then when I go out, I try not to touch my face because that's how it's transmitted. It's mostly through transmission of, like, we touch things and then touch our face. And I'm washing my hands for 20 seconds with soap and water. When I enter a building, when I leave a building, I try to be really good about that. And that's probably, for me, that feels a reasonable thing to do. And then how can I take care of myself around the stress? So the pause, the being reasonably prepared, and then how do I meet my needs, whether I need to have some comfort around the anxiety or I need more social interactions, figuring out how I can get those needs met. I think that will help you weather this in a way that you'll be really proud of the muscles you built out, and how, during that, this time is a time we can build up really valuable muscles that will serve us the rest of our life.
Before the call, Cathy, you had shared that someone who survived the Holocaust, there were two things that they did and made such a difference. One, they kept a tiny piece of bread with them that they could offer to someone who needed it. That keeps our generosity channels open. And if we can write a love letter or appreciation, send it in some way. There's lots of little pieces of bread that in the emotional world matter. Little things matter during this time.
If
And
you
if it
want,
keeps go ahead.
oh, I just was going to say, this call, it's a free call available. You're welcome. We're going to post it on the page that Rick put up. You're welcome to send this to people if you think it might help them. We want it to serve people. So just little acts of, like it can be a small piece, it can be someone else's bread that we say, hey, go ahead and share. But I think it does help. It helps us feel more empowered.
Mm-hmm. And then doing something to tend and care for yourself. She used a small bit of comb to brush her hair. And I believe that there's a deep grace in those that have been through such horrors, that when we hear something that resonates with our own soul, our own heart, your heart matters during this time.
Yes.
And so whatever it is that's resonating with your heart about how to be in circle and community, even in the midst of whatever is happening, I would love to hear it, amplify it, you know, so feel free to pass that on, or just pass it on to other friends. Invite someone to do something that feels good and right. I could see, like, okay, we're not going to get close to each other, but we're going to go out and we're going to go to the park and we're going to stand 15
6 feet
yards
apart.
away and we're going to make funny faces at each other and do pantomime things.
6 feet
Like,
is the recommended distance. Just so
I
you
know.
know,
I'm just
how do you 15?
And I'm saying that, if I've got a partner in play that is willing to do that, outside, that would be a really cool way for me to get my needs met for meeting with friends, even if, someone was not wanting to get up close and sit on the park bench together. If I'm grounded, I can be creative. If I'm not grounded, then I just feel that's the helplessness is feeling to me is a clue that we're in our trauma and that there's if there's a beauty in the direction that tapping can give, it's like, and I'm open to some creative way of getting my needs met here.
Surprisingly easy and simple, and something I haven't even considered would be really great.
I'm open to something I haven't even considered to get my needs met. That's safe and happy and healthy for everyone. I don't know what it is, and it's okay for me not to know tonight. Maybe it'll come in a dream. Maybe I'll hear it from someone else. Maybe I'll conspire with one of my friends as I talk to them. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cathy. Thank you all so much for being here.
I really appreciate that you're the kind of people that want to make that difference, that shift in your body and your psyche, because you role modeling, people do pick up on that and they wonder why they feel just a little bit better when they're around you. And then they go out in the world and it spreads out. So what you're doing is so important. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Okay.
Suits you well.
Bye.